This is the Padua Podcast Network.
Healthcare is the number one most expensive thing you'll ever buy, and it's not optional. Running a Fever, episode 183. Why do you need money? Well, welcome to Running a Fever. Yes, we love our lives. I am having a beautiful day here in my closet because I'm not outside, not recording, not at Lake Fayetteville or any of the other beautiful outside destinations I usually record in. I am currently in my closet, also known as Running a Fever World Headquarters Master Studio, but it's really just a closet. So today we're talking about why we need money. Why do we need so much money? Why not go do a job I love that pays peanuts? A lot of great jobs, fun jobs, enjoyable jobs that really let you do something you're passionate about don't pay very well. And some of the jobs that you might not enjoy quite as much pay a lot more. So let me just give you some examples. I did a little research on some jobs that people might like to do. The average member of the Screen Actors Guild makes $1,000 per year. What about being a musician? I know from personal experience that it can pay, but in my case, it really didn't. Orchestra players, unless you're in a big city, don't make enough to live on, or maybe even nothing at all. If you're playing in a band in clubs, if you play cover music and not your own, you can make maybe a few $100s for a weekend gig before expenses, before taxes, etc. And all artists have to hustle to get work. Even if you make $50 an hour, which is the average for film and TV actors, you're not guaranteed to get those hours. So yeah, if you get an hour of work, you can get $50, but if you only get 2 hours, or let's say you get 1 day, right? That's 8 hours. So you got $400, and maybe you don't get any work for the next 3 months. So that's not going to work. Teachers, something, a lot of people are passionate about teaching. They want to make a difference. They make up an average of $45,000 per year. Cops make $39,000 a year. Priests, if you're passionate about your religion, my diocese, they get room and board plus $1,000 per month. So isn't this enough? I mean, average living expenses for a single person is about $13,000. Now that doesn't include rent, which is about $17,000 on average. So now you're talking about $30,000 a year just in expenses for a single person. Average taxes, 23%. Including Social Security and Medicare, and we haven't included anything here except survival. The average teacher, probably the most stable job I mentioned, is down about $400 a month left over. No entertainment, no savings for retirement, no medical care, no student loan payments, no vehicles. Are you starting to get the picture? And this is all assuming that you're able to work and you're able to find work. On the other hand, there are, the other side of the coin is some of the other jobs that pay pretty well. Now, some people are going to be passionate about these types of jobs. Some people really, that's what they want to do. So that's fine. But if you're not, you still might want to consider some of these. Financial analysts, and that's not the most interesting job maybe, but they make almost twice as much as a teacher. And so do software engineers, many of whom don't have college degrees. IT and other computer fields average $82,000 a year, and that field is growing by 12% a year. And the average engineer makes $78,000 a year. The average lawyer makes $118,000 a year. Now you may say, well, I don't want to, I haven't been to school. I don't want to go and, get a lot of education. So what can you do without a degree? Well, some software engineers, like I mentioned. Also, you can work in a power plant. The average power plant worker makes $79,000 a year. No college degree required. Elevator repair, you can do that and make $79,000 a year. You can be a commercial pilot. It does require quite a bit of training, but no degree. $82,000 a year. You can be a manager in the transportation industry, $94,000 a year. So, this is money. Why are we talking about this on Running a Fever? I mean, why? This is money. This is, not medicine, diet, or fitness. Well, I'll tell you why. Healthcare. Healthcare, I've talked about medicine and how important that is, that you take care of yourself and your medical needs. Healthcare is the number one most expensive thing you'll ever buy. And it's not optional. You can't just say, well, I'm just going to completely ignore my health. If you do, you won't last very long. And maybe, that's something to think about. Even millionaires have health insurance. Why? Because they need it. The cost of healthcare is rising faster than personal income. A Princeton University study said that U.S. government healthcare reform has caused costs to go up because of increased demand for healthcare. So we pay for it even if we wind up destitute enough to get government benefits. When we get to that poverty level, we can get minimal care. You'll be able to go in and get some care, but you won't have any choice. Now let's put some real numbers on this. Virtually everyone, unless you die very young, will need help as an adult at some point. 50% of Americans have either heart disease or diabetes. That's responsible for 85% of healthcare costs. I personally once spent $8,000 for one night in a hospital. I didn't have a heart problem, but probably just a muscle spasm. But because it was in my back, and this is something, I recently went to the cardiologist, and one of the questions on their form, because it'd been a while since I've seen him, I had to fill out the form that says, different things that they ask you that you've experienced, and, shortness of breath, etc. One of the things was back pain. And the reason they do ask you that is because apparently that's a symptom of heart problems. So I went into the emergency room. This is 10, 15 years ago, something like that. And I had a really serious pain, probably the worst pain I've ever felt in my back. And because it was there, they asked me, is it your heart? And the doc, I remember asking me, and she said, well, you don't really know what it is, do you? I'm like, no, I don't know. I just know it hurts right here. And I had, I've had some back pain recently, and I went to the cardiologist and told him it's not heart stuff. I mean, so to eliminate that, they did all kinds of tests. Put me in a cardiac unit overnight. I had CT scans and all that crazy expensive stuff. And at the time, I did not have any medical insurance whatsoever. I was a contractor, self-employed. But fortunately, I was making more money than I ever had or have since, actually. It was just very fortunate. So, that's something you just got to... That's what can happen. One night can cost you $8,000. If you move into assisted living at some point, that's at least $3,000 a month for one person. If you have to go to a skilled nursing facility, $7,000 a month for one person. Obviously, few people can sustain this for very long. $7,000 a month, that's $84,000 a year. Imagine that's what your rent is, right? So if you're fortunate enough to own a house, which for most people is the most valuable thing they own in terms of financial value, so you sell the house to pay your rent, does that make sense? Does it make sense today? Would it make sense if you wanted to live a long life and might have to pay rent for a really long time? Now, I'm not trying to be all doom and gloom. Quite the opposite. There's still life when you need help. We've seen that in our study of centenarians. The oldest woman ever was riding a bike and roller skating when she was over 100. She spent many years in a skilled nursing facility. You have all the areas you have today. You have spiritual, mental, physical, and social life still left in you. You just need help. So think about these things. I'm not saying, don't go follow your dream, but don't ignore the financial aspects of life using the excuse that money is not important, because it is. You almost can't have enough, really. Financial health is an important part of living a long, healthy, active life right up to the very end, and that's what we're all about. Well, I hope you found this useful, and if you got the fever, keep it. If you don't have the fever, go catch it. Talk to you next time on Running a Fever.